it's Angel. Today we're going to be making dim sum at home. We're going to be making crystal shrimp dumplings, also known in Mandarin as xia jiao. It's super delicious. I love how there's that translucent skin on the dumplings. It's a little bit chewy and it's got really nice flavor to it. So if you guys are interested, keep watching. For the ingredients, we'll need some shrimp. I'm using about 15 pieces of small to medium size frozen shrimp, which I've just defrosted in this bowl. Just look for shrimp that's been peeled and deveined. We will also need some optional bamboo shoots and water chestnuts. And the reason why I like to use the bamboo shoots and the water chestnuts is because it gives it a nice flavor and crunch to it. We'll also need 1 teaspoon of lard. And if you guys don't want to use lard or you don't have lard, you can use rendered bacon grease, or you can also use vegetable oil instead. We'll also need 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, and that's for marinating the shrimp in. Also some salt to taste, and also a teaspoon of sesame oil. In addition, we'll also need half a teaspoon of sugar. Now for the dough, we will need a mixture of wheat flour. I'm using about 1/3 cup of wheat flour, and this is not the wheat flour that you normally think of. It's Asian wheat flour, and if you're interested in what exactly that looks like in the bag, I'll post a link in the video description. We will also need 1/3 cup of tapioca starch. So we're gonna mix these two together along with boiling water, and that's gonna give us the nice crystal dough. And that's it. Now let's go prep the ingredients. The first thing we'll want to do is to prepare our shrimp. So I've gone ahead to drain the water, and we'll want to actually get a paper towel and dry the shrimp really well. And the reason why we want to do this is because that way when we steam the shrimp, the dough won't get soggy. Now that the shrimp is dry, I want to pick out about 10 pieces of the smaller shrimp, and that's so we can put 1 whole shrimp into our xia jiao. So I'm just going to chop these into small pieces. No need to mince because it'll be a nice chunk of shrimp in there. Now that I'm done chopping, I'm just going to transfer everything to a small bowl for marinating. Now we'll add our water chestnuts and our bamboo shoots. You only need a couple pieces, so I think I'm going to do about 3 pieces of bamboo shoots and 3 of the water chestnuts. Those a nice mince. Add those in. Next, we'll chop the water chestnuts, and I really like adding the water chestnuts because this will give it a lot of crunch. Rough chops are totally fine because I feel like that gives it some nice texture to it. Now we're going to add the other ingredients for our marinade. I'm going to start with our cornstarch. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. We'll also need 1 teaspoon of lard, and lard is basically pork fat. If you don't have lard, you can also use vegetable oil as well. We'll just need 1 teaspoon. We'll also need 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. Don't skimp on this because this gives it really nice fragrant smell to it. And I'm just going to eyeball that. We'll also need half a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of sugar. Now we want to give this a good mix and make sure that lard is mixed in there. If it is on the colder side, if you're doing this in the winter months, you may have to melt your lard first. Now we'll let this marinate for about 15 minutes while we prepare the dough. So I'll take out another bowl for our dough, and we're going to do a mixture of tapioca starch and wheat flour. So 1/3 of a cup each. Now when we're measuring out the tapioca starch and the wheat flour, I recommend that you sift it. And what I like to do is take a chopstick and just kind of sift it like this, fluff everything up, and that'll help when we come to measure. So we're doing 1/3 of a cup here. And I'm just gonna level that off with my chopstick. It's one of my favorite tools to use in the kitchen. Next, we're going to be sifting the tapioca starch. 1/3 cup. Perfect, so we've got our tapioca starch and our wheat starch in here. I'm just going to season it with a couple pinches of salt. So probably do about 2 to 3 pinches of salt, and that'll help season our wrapper. And before we add the hot water in there, I'm going to give it a quick sift with my chopsticks again. Now we're gonna add 1/3 cup of boiling water, and make sure that the water is boiling, because if it's not, the dough won't turn out properly. And I'm just gonna give this a stir with my rice paddle. You can see the dough is really starting to come together here. Make sure to get all the edges so all the flour is mixed in. And when the dough has just started to come together, you can go ahead and knead it on the cutting board. It may be a little bit sticky, so you can use a little more starch if you need to. This should feel really soft. If the dough is extra sticky, feel free to add a little more flour, or if it's easier, just knead it in your hands. Once the dough is a good consistency where it's not sticky and it's pliable, you can just put it on the cutting board and cover it temporarily with a paper towel that's just been soaked in water, so that way it doesn't dry out. And now we're gonna prepare our steamer. Today's video is sponsored by Our Place, which has a modern line of cookware and dinnerware for the modern kitchen. So I'm going to be using their Always Pan today for steaming. And inside the Always Pan is an insert for steaming. So there is a wire insert here. It's stainless steel, and you can put this in the dishwasher. But today I'm going to be using their bamboo steamer, which is also really nice. The Always Pan is non-toxic, and what I like about it is that it's super non-stick, which is great for steaming or sauteing. So to start, I'm just going to add a little bit of hot water. So just a little bit. We're only going to be steaming for about 5 to 6 minutes. And then I'm going to cover this and turn the stove on. And while that's heating up, let's go roll out our dough. I have a little bit of olive oil here, and that's just so to prevent from extra stickiness. You can just put a little bit on your hands. I'm gonna roll the dough into a log, then into 5 pieces each. So we'll take one piece like this, roll that into a small ball, and that will be our dough. If you have the extras waiting here, just give that a quick cover so that way it doesn't dry out. And since this is a little bit sticky, I'm gonna add a little bit more flour to it. Flour my rolling pin. Gently roll the wrapper out. Take that out and put it in the palm of your hands. And I'm going to add one of the whole shrimp pieces in here, along with a small spoonful of the shrimp and water chestnut bamboo mixture. Now I'm just going to wrap them by folding this over, pinching on the sides, pinching and folding as we go. These are totally homemade, so they may not be perfect. Then when you're done, put that right in the basket. And I just realized that there wasn't enough dough for one, so we're gonna have 8 pieces instead, and just repeat this process with the rest of the dough. All right, the dumplings are taking a bit longer to wrap than I thought they would, so instead of waiting to do all 8, I'm going to steam 6 first before the dough dries out. All right, the steamer's going. The water's boiling. Just gonna put this bamboo steamer on there, and we're gonna cook until they're done, which is about 6 minutes. All right, it's been 6 minutes and they're done, so let's check them out. Wow, that looks really good. Be careful guys, because it's still hot, but I'm just gonna transfer this over to the other side so we can serve this up with some sauce. And that, guys, is how you make crystal shrimp dumpling or xiajiao. They look super delicious. I'm so happy with how they turned out, even though they're homemade. So let's go ahead and dig in and do the taste test. Just going to dip it in a little bit of chili sauce. It's a chili garlic sauce. Wow. I love the flavors of the shrimp and the sesame oil. And there's a little bit of crunch from the water chestnut, which is really nice texture to it. Very, very delicious. I'm actually surprised at how quick we were able to make it. So not bad if you want to make this for lunch one of these days. And just so you guys can see, I'm going to cut one open so you can see the inside of what it looks like. It's kind of cool to see the textures of the shrimp along with the water chestnut and bamboo in there. It's very delicious. And if you guys are interested in our place and the Always pan, which I used today, along with some of their plates and bowls, modern kitchenware and cookware, I'll put a link in the video description. I'm Angel. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And as my grandpa would say, sharing a meal with a fascinating stranger is one of life's true delights. So until we can share that meal together and have some crystal shrimp dumpling, take care. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.